So I think, we're all here to learn a bit more about the Trade for Sustainable Development Hub. So I will like to invite our very first speaker to offer his remarks, Executive Director for the Caribbean Export Development Agency, Mr. Deodat Maharaj.
Yeah, thank you, Joellen. Pamela Cook-Hamilton, Executive Director of the International Trade Center, and Catherine Zotz, Global T4SD Hubs Manager, Simon Balfour, distinguished guests, members of the media, business leaders and entrepreneurs from across our CARIFORUM countries, and those who are tuned in from outside our region. A most pleasant good morning or pleasant good afternoon to you, depending on where you are. I think at the outset, I would like to thank my staff, Demi and his team, and all the others who have helped and worked hard to put together this program, and Pamela, the staff from your team who have worked hard as well to make today possible. So thank you so much. I am pleased to welcome you to this launch of the Trade for Sustainable Development Hubs program. We are proud to be partnering with the International Trade Center on this initiative, which your regional private sector agency, Caribbean Export, will become the regional hub to help businesses across our region to tap into the growing market for sustainability products. On a personal note, Pamela, I'm really pleased with this partnership because when I started my career and I was serving in Tanzania, I was leading the export development program for Tanzania, working with the United Nations as well. And our main partner was the ITC. And I had a fabulous relationship. And I'm glad some years after in my career, I have the chance to work with you and your team in delivering this program to deliver and generate results and jobs for people in the Caribbean. So for me, it's a great pleasure. And I think this program represents a unique opportunity for firms whom we are committed to support and serve. We in Caribbean Export see additional value in this initiative, given the unprecedented challenges we face as a region, which have now been exacerbated, as we all know, by COVID-19. The pandemic has also served to lay bare our pre-existing vulnerabilities. At the same time, it has given us an opportunity to press the reset button on our development agenda to one where business is an essential partner and an ally in advancing a truly transformational agenda for our region, delivering jobs, growth, and prosperity for our people. We need to continue to work hard every day to create the enabling environment for business to flourish, provide support allowing business to expand and tap into new markets, and identify new opportunities for our entrepreneurs. In this regard, our partnership with ITC is both timely and necessary for us and our Caribbean people. In fact, the relevance of this partnership between the two agencies is underscored by the presence of the challenging circumstances that we presently face. And it really is a call to action. The onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, has really, precipitated unprecedented shocks in the global economy and certainly here in the Caribbean. The IMF estimates that the global economy contracted by 3.5% in 2020, with women, youth, the poor, and the unemployed bearing the brunt of the burden. And this is the experience, Pamela and colleagues, that we have globally, that in times of crisis, in times of disaster, in times of shocks, the poor, the marginalized, and the vulnerable, they bear the brunt of the burden. And that is precisely why we at the Caribbean Export Development Agency, we are keen on this partnership because we believe it can help generate precious jobs for the people of our Caribbean, help with growth and advance prosperity. But speaking on the issue of COVID-19 and the impact, we spoke about what has happened globally, but my remit is the CARIFORUM Caribbean, and the impact has been really massive. The CDB put out a report as recent as yesterday, which says that the economies across CDB's borrowing member countries, they contracted by an estimated 12.3% of GDP. And that is really massive. In our region, many of our countries, they rely on tourism. And tourism, according to the Inter-American Development Bank, has declined by 75%. Countries in our region like Grenada, St. Lucia, and Bahamas, I mean, they are still reeling. And when we speak about these figures and these contractions, we are talking about taxi drivers who are out of work, people who work in the hotels without a job, people, the artists, the artisans, they're all unemployed. And that is precisely why we at Caribbean Export, we are keen on this partnership because it represents another option and another viable option for people in the Caribbean. And the impact that this economic downturn has had, especially on SMEs, is of course particularly concerning, given that SMEs make up between 70 and 85% of all enterprises. In other words, they form the backbone of the economies across the Caribbean, and they contribute between 60 and 70% of GDP, and account, most importantly, for half of all employment across our beloved region. In our own survey of the private sector conducted in collaboration with CDB, or the Caribbean Development Bank, 48% of businesses surveyed have had to close their physical operations. 47% cited they have had to halt production of products and services, and 46% have ceased operations temporarily. These are figures, but behind these figures are faces and people who are no longer working, who are on the breadline, and who are worrying and wondering every day, about getting a job to ensure that they have a livelihood for themselves and their families. The end result, of course, as I have noted, has been increased unemployment across the region. In response, we in Caribbean Export, we have introduced initiatives with the support of the European Union, such as a direct support grant scheme to support the strategic retooling and positioning of businesses as they seek to emerge stronger from the pandemic. Our involvement in this program should be seen as yet another action being undertaken by your agency to aid SMEs enter into new product areas as we seek to diversify our export base to create jobs and growth. And diversifying our export base is not really an option anymore. It's really more of an imperative. Not only does it create jobs, but it helps us to earn precious foreign exchange. I want to emphasize that beyond the shock of the COVID-19 pandemic, there are deeper structural challenges confronting SMEs in the region as they grapple with a complex and shifting international marketplace. Indeed, given these challenges, our enterprises must be at the top of their game, constantly innovating and adapting to this rapidly shifting global marketplace. We also need to be forward-looking, identify new opportunities, and be ahead of the game to tap into them. This is precisely why we at Caribbean Export are attracted to this initiative and delighted with this partnership. Trade in sustainable products really represents a unique opportunity for us in the CARIFORUM Caribbean to create precious jobs and earn valuable foreign exchange. The Trade for Sustainable Development Hubs program will enable us to serve regional SMEs as a one-stop shop for services to help you business people develop green business strategies, access green finance, and to enter into international markets for sustainable products. To facilitate this, Caribbean Export will work with ITC to disseminate information, help to provide access to learning tools, and offer business coaching in areas such as access to green finance. We are keen and committed to delivering results because at the end of the day, that is what matters most: jobs and growth and supporting sustainable livelihoods. We are therefore excited, we are truly excited to work with ITC and look forward to delivering results to our enterprises across CARIFORUM Caribbean. CARIFORUM meaning CARICOM countries in the Caribbean, in addition to the Dominican Republic, as we seek to create jobs, generate growth, and advance a truly transformational agenda for the prosperity of our people. I thank you once again, and I very much look forward to this partnership as we seek together to deliver results, jobs, growth, prosperity, and opportunity for the people of our Caribbean. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Deodat Maharaj. I think it's, quite important for everybody to really hear what's going to be coming on stream as it relates to the Trade for Development hubs. And I would encourage anybody that's, viewing Caribbean Export for the first time to subscribe to our mailing list and visit our website, carib-export.com. I believe you can see it on the screen there. So please do take the opportunity now to obviously subscribe to the mailing list so you can keep informed of all the various opportunities that we have for businesses throughout the region. Now, without further ado, I'd like to invite Pamela Coke-Hamilton, Executive Director for the International Trade Center, to offer her remarks.
Thank you, Joel, and Dr. Deodat Maharaj, Executive Director of Caribbean Export, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you very much, Deodat, for your warm welcome remarks. I also would like to extend my congratulations to you on your recent appointment as Executive Director of the Caribbean Export Development Agency. As you can see from today's collaboration and the number of areas of partnership that we have lined up over the next few weeks on investment facilitation and on trade and market intelligence tools, the collaboration between ITC and CEDA will continue to be an impactful one for the MSMEs and policymakers in the region. And I do want to say that, I've told people many times that, the trade club is a very small one. We just move around a lot. So your having been in Tanzania working with ITC on these issues is not surprising to me in the least. We tend to end up right back where we started. So today we're launching what could be a transformational initiative for the region, the Trade for Sustainable Development Hub for the Caribbean, also to be known as Caribbean T4SD Hub. It will be a practical resource tool for a region at the front lines of climate change. I'm delighted that Caribbean Export was chosen after a competitive process to be its host. And I do want to put a caveat that I was not part of the process of choosing. Thank you. With the launch of the Caribbean T4SD Hub and the forthcoming UNCTAD 15, the region is positioning itself at the center of the current trade debate, which largely centers around how trade can contribute to an inclusive green recovery and transition. Trade can be a powerful tool to ensure a resilient and net zero emissions future, which leaves no one behind when we ensure that it is used in the right way. Any stakeholder along an international value chain, whether a consumer, local producer, or international brand, can play its role to transform our trading system by demanding sustainable products, by adhering to sustainability standards, and by implementing sustainable business practices. Today, Caribbean Export is joining a global network of T4SD hubs, which has been established with local institutions in Ghana, Kenya, Laos, Nepal, Peru, and Vietnam to strengthen the competitiveness of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises by implementing green business practices. These practices help MSMEs to become climate resilient, lower their carbon emissions, recycle waste, get certified with sustainability standards, and access green finance and value chains. Addressing environmental sustainability at the MSME level is key to address the world's and especially our region's largest environmental threats, climate change and biodiversity loss. While we tackle the immediate threat of the COVID-19 pandemic, we're also still addressing the ever-present threat of climate change. Livelihoods are threatened by an increasing frequency and intensity of hurricanes in our region, rising sea levels, ocean warming, and loss of local biodiversity. In addition, consumers around the world are increasingly conscious about the way they consume and how goods and services are produced. I see this increasingly in the region where people are caring more and more about environmental and carbon footprint of their consumption patterns. We only have to look at the recent ban on plastic bags here in Barbados to know that the authorities recognize the relationship between what and how we consume and the impact on the environment. In combination with recently passed sustainability-related supply chain laws by the German and French governments, retailers and brands are increasingly being pushed towards adherence to sustainability standards along their value chains. As such, compliance with sustainability-related regulations and standards is increasingly becoming a prerequisite for accessing international value chains in the agri-food, textiles and apparel, as well as the tourism sectors. The region has to be prepared for this. We need to know what the rules and regulations are and equip our producers with the tools to ride the sustainability wave to increase access to markets and increase competitiveness. Because let us not kid ourselves. Sustainability standards and adherence to green norms and regulations will be the new competitiveness hurdle for businesses in the region. For MSMEs especially, meeting these new and increasing number of sustainability standards can be daunting initially. Without the support, information, or exposure, these export opportunities can be just out of reach for these businesses. ITC's almost 60 years of interventions in developing countries has confirmed to us that MSMEs adopt and create innovative sustainability solutions when the profit and business case is clear and the conditions are right. Evidence shows that when appropriate incentives and financing are in place, MSMEs readily adopt green business practices and climate resilient technologies, reduce their carbon emissions, boost productivity, and reduce costs. However, supportive business and environmental policies, as well as targeted assistance, are needed to catalyze such win-win opportunities. By becoming the host of the Caribbean T4SD Hub, Caribbean Export will continue to develop the expertise and skills to offer sustainability-related services for MSMEs to build this business case to go green. Over the next 2 years, the Caribbean T4SD Hub will address key topics such as climate resilience, resource efficiency, circularity, sustainability standards, and access to green finance that are key challenges for Caribbean MSMEs to become and remain competitive. With that, it gives me great pleasure to launch the Caribbean T4SD Hub and urge all of you to make the best use of its services as our region moves forward to a more prosperous and sustainable future. Thank you very much, and I look forward to a great partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pamela Coke-Hamilton. It's an absolute honour to obviously have you with us here once again today. It's unfortunate that we're having to do this virtually. Yes. I was absolutely looking forward to an in-person meeting. Right. Yes, but obviously the current situation that we're in, it's just not possible. But I'm glad that we're all here and able to participate as it is virtually, and open our doors to even more people virtually than we probably would have been able to do actually in person at this local level actually. So without further ado, I think I will hand over to Simon Balfour, the Programme Manager for Sustainable and Inclusive Value Chain for the International Trade Centre. I believe he has a presentation as well. So Simon, if you'd like to share your screen.
Thank you, Joellen. I'm going to ask Anne-Catherine to share her screen actually. There we go. Everybody should see that appearing shortly. If you can't see, then do just message. Thank you, Joellen. Executive directors, distinguished guests, ladies and gents, a real pleasure on behalf of myself and Anne-Catherine as the implementation team in ITC to connect with you all today and to formally kick off this partnership that has already been growing with some great conversations that we've been having with colleagues at CEDA. A real pleasure to be with you today. I'm going to start by just giving a very quick bit of context and introduce the International Trade Centre, this main operation in the framework by which we deliver, and then I'll hand off to Anne-Catherine to talk more about the hubs. So we were established in 1964. We're a joint agency, jointly owned by the UN Conference for Trade and Development and the World Trade Organization, and we're governed by UN rules and regulations. Next slide, please. We are focused on delivery for MSMEs of developing countries to support them to compete globally. The logic for that is clear. 2/3 of private sector employment comes from MSMEs, and 90% of companies globally are MSMEs. And it's MSMEs that really drive opportunities, particularly for disenfranchised groups such as women, youth, and fragile groups in society. We have a range of kind of approaches to do this, many of which will be reflected in the content of the Trade for Sustainable Development Hub that we'll come on to. But we look at the provision of trade and market intelligence to support access to information for MSMEs. We try to build a supportive business environment through policy, as well as partnerships with the private sector to improve the inclusivity of their supply chains. We work with support institutions such as CEDA and others to improve the services and awareness of the challenges faced by MSMEs. And we work directly with companies, with entrepreneurs to connect them to international value chains through building their capacity, through helping them to gain certification, for example, as well as branding and meeting buyers. All of which really is orientated around mainstreaming of inclusive and green trade. Myself and Anne Katrin both sit in the Sustainable and Inclusive Value Chain section. This is evidenced by our launch of the Green to Compete strategy, for example, as well as the launch of this hub. And we also support regional integration through working with multilateral agreements as well as South-South links. Next slide, please. We have a global level of implementation, and it's been really pleasing to see that growth globally. A center of gravity is Africa, as you can see, but the rate of expansion has been extraordinary, and really pleased to see the expansion of partnerships with organizations like CEDA as a representation of how that has grown. Next slide. And just briefly, without turning this into a sales pitch for the International Trade Center, but I wanted to show you the nature of the results that we try and build. And this is our 2019 corporate results. 2020 will be coming out shortly in our next annual report. But really just to sort of give you a sense of the kinds of results that we try to deliver for our stakeholders and what we measure. So we have supported in 2019 alone, we supported 26,500 small enterprises to improve their international competitiveness. And that would range from everything from branding and marketing through to e-commerce, through to virtual sustainability, voluntary sustainability standards, and other things. And on the right, obviously, we have a funding work stream through on an annualized basis of just under $130 million in 2019. And we're able very effectively, particularly through partnerships such as this, to leverage that by converting every input of dollar into just over $10 of results for our stakeholders, which we're all very much focused on. Next slide. So for the purpose of time, I'll stop there and hand over to Anne-Katrin. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Simon. Thank you very much also to our executive directors, Deedat Maharaj and Pamela Cook-Hamilton, for your warm welcome remarks and also for setting the scene. And good morning, everyone who's joining us today. We are very happy to see also this great interest in the launch, which gives us good hope for the next 2 years when we establish actually the Regional T4SD Hub with Caribbean Export. So I would like to take the opportunity to introduce you in the next few slides to the overall T4SD Hub concept and its offering. As you can see, the common objective of the T4SD Hubs is to improve SME competitiveness through the implementation of business practices, which are both socially and environmentally sustainable. And by this, we directly contribute to the global goals, especially Goal 8 on decent work and economic growth, Goal 12 on responsible production and consumption, Goal 13 on climate action, as well as to Goal 6 and 7 on sustainable use of water and renewable energy. Globally, we aim at establishing 8 T4SD hubs with local business support institutions such as Caribbean Export, and directly coach 700 SMEs to build sustainable business strategies and implement them, while of course improving also understanding and awareness of around 4,500 SMEs on how to benefit from sustainable business practices. With Caribbean Export joining our global T4SD Hub network, we now count with 7 T4SD hubs in Ghana, Kenya, Laos, Nepal, Peru, Vietnam, and then ultimately, of course, the Caribbean. As you can see from the list of business support institutions we work with, there can be private and public, and all have one thing in common: they all want to develop a sustainable offering for MSMEs in their respective countries and region. So the global T4SD Hub network gives each of the T4SD Hubs the possibility
institutional level, but of course also on a technical level. And of course, we also don't only work with one institution. When we say we set up a T4SD Hub, we work in an ecosystem. We work in an ecosystem through partnerships with, of course, government actors, industry and sector associations, financiers such as national and international banks and investors, technology providers, international buyers, and any other relevant other stakeholder who can contribute setting incentives for MSMEs to implement sustainable business practices. The T4SD Hub offering is structured around 5 thematic areas, under which awareness-raising workshops, e-learnings, and customized coaching programs have been already developed, and which Caribbean Expert can nicely leverage now, as it is the 7th hub to join. The thematic areas include resource efficient and circular production, and there we are focusing on reducing, reusing, and recycling energy, water, and waste. And this underlying approach has been already leveraged across 12 other countries where we have been implementing it. So it's even wider adopted than just the T4SD Hubs. Our climate resilience work there we focus very much on assessing and managing climate risks to improve SME competitiveness, and of course to reduce overall business risks, and especially in a region highly impacted by climate change and its impacts on businesses. We hope that especially this thematic area can be of interest to the Caribbean SMEs. Then we look at how to comply also with voluntary sustainability standards, which have been already mentioned as like the driving force in going green for businesses, because they are demanded by buyers, and hence SMEs try to comply to keep on selling to these buyers or open new market opportunities for themselves. So we see a large trend there, but of course also a great uptake for specifically that offering, because MSMEs directly see the linkage to new market opportunities when, for example, they certify with organic or fair trade. Then we also look at how to access green finance. So once we have established the business case for going green, many companies are keen to actually access the needed financing to implement their newly developed strategies and measures. So we support them in accessing financing through creating a landscape study, help them to connect to financiers through bootcamps and also coaching programs. And then lastly, we also look at how to increase the online presence of SMEs through our e-commerce for sustainable businesses module. And you can imagine now, because of COVID, this has received large interest. So many companies see the usual way of how they would connect internationally with buyers not anymore as the way they can connect in the current scenario. And while we saw before COVID already the trend that many companies want to sell and position themselves online, now even more so. So we have further developed the module and now turned it really into an e-commerce focused module for businesses together with our Ecom Connect team. Here we are listing just some of the advantages for MSMEs to actually design and implement their sustainability strategies. Many of those have been mentioned, but just to highlight again, it's really about ensuring continuity of your business, strengthen the competitive advantage by, for example, investing into new innovative measures and improving efficiency in your production processes, lowering operational costs by using available resources more efficiently, improve your company's reputation with your buyers and also with your local governments and institutions, anticipate new regulations, which are sometimes even more so enforced than previously. And some of these regulations are also not new, but they're just much more stricter and much more aligned with our climate goals. develop new range of products and services, and also to access new markets and financing. So about the next, the next steps and what it means to set up this Caribbean T4SD Hub with the Caribbean Export Development Agency, we are saying that we are looking first of all in this year in a subset of 3 countries, Barbados, Guyana, and St. Lucia, for targeting around 180 SMEs within the year, and of course leaving room to expand after we have piloted the offering within those 3 countries. That being said, all virtual offerings, of course, will be made available for free across the region, including the e-learnings, webinars, and online workshops. And already we started planning on how we go beyond the 3 countries. So stay just tuned and informed when this happens. The tentative work plan for 2021 for each of those 3 focus countries would be to launch 2 of the sustainability related coaching programs, meaning compliance with voluntary sustainability standards, climate resilience, and resource efficiency, to run the first access to green finance boot camps, and also to look into coaching companies on e-commerce for sustainable businesses, as we understand that there might be a great interest in exploring that further. So with that, we open the floor for any questions, and yeah, as Joellen said, stay tuned, subscribe, and through the newsletter you will be also kept up to date.
Great, thank you very much, Anne and Simon, for your presentation. I think it's really quite a very interesting program, and I think the opportunities that you've very clearly put forward, the wealth of opportunity that is available here now for businesses in the Caribbean. I am not seeing any questions from the audience at the moment, but I would like to let people know that we will have hopefully have these slides available for you to review at your own time, available on our website, caribbean-export.com. We have a page set up for this program, T4SD. So please do visit the website after this, and we'll get the presentation posted for you quickly. Let's have a look. We have a question. The specialty food industries. We have it's a request, let's say. If I can ask if you can state your name, where you're from, and your specific question as it relates to the program, that would be really appreciated.
Yes, this is Judy Douglas. I'm calling from the United States. And many years ago, I know the Caribbean Export Development Agency used to participate in the fancy food, specialty food trade show, the trade show. And I'm just wondering, because I am an entrepreneur and looking to expand into the gifting industry, are those specialty food products a part of this sustainability plan, and will they be available in the United States?
Let's see, who would like to take that question? Jamie? I think obviously specialty food, you know, as a category as a whole, is obviously, you know, it's quite prominent within the region. I think, you know, as it relates to this program in itself, it's really about making sustainable practices for your businesses, regardless of the industry with which that you are actually coming from. So persons who are operating within the specialty food industry that are from within the CARIFORUM region, within the Caribbean region, will be able to participate in this show. And hopefully then, you know, as you develop those practices and become more competitive, most certainly, you know, that should help you to obviously export to the United States and to other markets that you wish to do so.
Yeah, thanks, Jolene. What you're saying is very true. Specialty food companies, of course, will have access to this project to build sustainable SMEs. But I also want to highlight specifically to what Ms. Douglas was saying, we have another collaboration ongoing with ITC at the moment. That's the UKTP project that focuses specifically on specialty foods, on building the capacity of specialty food companies, and also to let them showcase their products at international trade shows. I'm not sure if Fancy Food, the US Fancy Food Show will be part of that, but definitely other trade shows. But we have a specific program, again, in partnership with ITC through the UKTP program that is focused on specialty food companies. So rest assured, we're not going to leave any sector behind. We're not going to leave any company behind. We're going to work to try to develop all companies across the board.
Okay, thank you. And what was the name of that program you said?
It's the ITC UKTP program, and there are 3 components to it. We are probably going to be launching that program in the very near future.
Okay, thanks.
I know that we had mentioned that we were piloting it with a few countries initially. When will other countries be able to get involved in the program, like Belize, for example?
I can also take this question. So we said we will start with 3 countries within the region because it is a large region with many different countries. So it would be, let's say, harder to start with all of them at the same time, just to be said. That means we, of course, look immediately into expanding it. We had actually immediately also started these discussions, which could be the next countries we look then into. And also, that being said, any, let's say, online virtual offerings, which largely will be, we will be looking at in the next few months, will be open to anyone. Yeah, so only for the very physical coaching programs there we said where a coach has to go to a company that we will focus on the 3 countries we mentioned. Otherwise, everything else is open, and yeah, we are happy to look into further expanding the scope of the T4SD Hub.
Thank you. We also have a question from Ursula Barzi. We'd like to know if this program is for product-based businesses, or can services-based businesses also benefit from the program?
Yes, Jamie, please.
Oh, Catherine. Okay. Yes. No. Products and service-based companies are eligible. We don't make that distinction. All companies can use the knowledge gained from this program.
We have a question from Ruben Martarejo from Suriname. Does the program also include facilitating the internal CARIFORUM trade development encouragement? Yeah, so more, does it encourage regional trade, I believe?
Mm-hmm. May I just respond to that? I would like to respond because I had worked with Ruben Matararejo when I was living in Suriname and working in Suriname many years ago. So I saw the name, so I must respond, Ruben. No, Ruben, of course, one, the program will have the requisite information. Secondly, the trade in sustainability type products. It's not only a trade for the European market or the North American market. We in the Caribbean must also change our lifestyles and change the way we buy goods and the type of goods we buy. So the standards that we have in those markets, I think with time, will be standards for us in the Caribbean as well. And this is part of our remit as well in terms of facilitating and enhancing greater intra-regional trade as well, of which Suriname is an integral partner and member of the Caribbean Export Development Agency. Thank you, Ruben, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much. We have, so we're open to all sectors, that's correct? Because we have a question is, one of the questions that's come in is, how will the businesses be selected? How will the sectors and the businesses be selected to participate in this program.
Anne-Catherine, you want to take that one? Okay, and I'm not sure if Anne-Catherine can hear, but I know that we have a methodology to actually select companies. There is a diagnostic assessment tool that will be utilized. Caribbean Export also has our diagnostic assessment that many of the private sector companies in the region are familiar with. So we will actually utilize that methodology to select the firms that that will go forward to the intensive coaching part of the project. But as we noted, as far as the capacity building programs, they will be more or less open across the board to any firm that wants to participate.
Yeah, just to confirm that exactly. Thank you, Damie. I was just reading of the long question from the OECD. So sorry for that, for coming in late. Yes, exactly. So we have for each of the programs, our selection criteria, they are varying. Some of the coaching programs, of course, are more geared towards, let's say, processors or light manufacturers. Others are more geared towards, let's say, any type of company at a startup or growth stage. It really a bit depends. We will tailor, of course, those selection criteria to each launch of the coaching programs. These are always open EOIs, which are disseminated through all the different channels. So one way or the other, we hope that you will hear about it, and then you can openly apply. And then actually we go through a quite thorough selection process to select each of the companies.
Thank you. So the question from the OECD, would you be able to address that one? It's rather a long question. I didn't want to read the entire thing out, but.
Yeah, perhaps how we address the different SDGs, which we didn't particularly mention now. Of course, we see indirect impacts also towards those that I think we can all subscribe to. And regarding also indirect impacts from the T4SD hubs on, for example, farmers, which the example here is are linked to then tourism hotels who are perhaps directly benefiting from the program. Actually, it's an interesting question. Of course, we are exactly trying to capture those indirect results the best way possible. Because we see a huge trend within the tourism sector, specifically also ecotourism sector, to link up with local farmers as suppliers to their hotel operations, like hotels or any other type. And it is very much of interest to capture exactly that impact the program can have, and we are motivating, of course, also the companies we work with to act as a multiplier themselves, to really pass on the knowledge towards their suppliers. And when it comes to sustainability certifications, actually those suppliers would be part of the program in any case, because then you have to look at, when you talk about organic, for example, you need to include them in the first place.
Okay, thank you. We have another question. Maybe Damie, if you could handle this one for us. How is success going to be measured for this program in a year or 2 times? What are the specific metrics that will be tracked?
Yes, we have a very rigorous, in the project design of the program, there's a very rigorous results-based management framework that will be developed. I will defer to Anne-Catherine in terms of the process, because again, it's being driven by ITC, but of course, Caribbean Export, working with the consultant who will be brought on, will actually, that's a huge component of the program. We need to measure results, and I know that's a very big area for ITC as well, given that they are executing. So I don't know if Anne-Catherine has anything further to add in terms of the measurement of results components of it.
Yes, you're right. We have a quite rigorous process. So at each level, we are measuring on the output level or activity level, of course, what is our, let's say, outreach, how many companies do we reach? But then we, of course, want to measure how change, is incentivized. So how do companies change the way they produce? How do they go green? And there we go really through different levels by firstly seeing how many are participating in the coaching programs. Do they confirm increased capacity through taking part in those programs? And then do they start implementing the strategies they have been developing throughout the coaching programs? And then actually, what are the actual results afterwards? So we have different stops within the implementation of our programs where we go back to the SMEs and see exactly what has happened. And then this feeds all into the global M&E framework. And actually through our own flagship report, the SMECO, the SME Competitiveness Outlook, we will showcase like first results from one of the programs, which is on resource efficiency and circular production. So the person interested in exactly those results can also look it up when it's launched in the next few months.
And just to add to that, I think as part of our M&E framework, given the sort of breadth of the activities that we're going to be delivering, we would also look to measure all of our indirect results, the way in which supply chains are also being improved and made more inclusive and sustainable, as well as the effect on the overall business environment through the partnership with CEDA. So there will be a range of indirect and unintended results that we would also look to measure and articulate. Thank you.
Okay, we'll have just one last question we have from Elizabeth Francis from Christique Clothing in Trinidad. She would like to know if there would be assistance, an opportunity for assistance with research and production of natural fibers, especially for fashion designers. She's a clothing designer in Trinidad and Tobago. Designers that are working with natural materials to promote eco and sustainable fashion. So, Damien?
Yes, thanks, Jolene. With regards to this program, I don't believe there's a specific component that focuses on research. But however, Caribbean Export offers a number of areas of support that can assist in that area. One of them particularly is the Direct Support Grants Program, the Direct Assistance Grant Scheme. We just recently had a call, and we're probably going to be launching other calls in the upcoming weeks and months. So I would advise sorry, I missed the name. Christine, is it? I would advise Christine Closing to develop a proposal in terms of what they need so they can access funding to undertake research. We also provide technical assistance for research. So what you can do, you can provide me with your contact information, and we can have a member of our team reach out to you to discuss what exactly you're looking at to see how Caribbean Export can possibly assist.
Great, thank you very much, Damien. So I think with that, we can move on to the next item. I think we've heard quite a lot about the program, and as I mentioned, we will have the presentation available on our website and for you to refer to, and also the point people for you to contact. So please do visit the website carib-export.com, Trade for Sustainable Development Hubs, in order to find that information. So I'd now like to invite Damien Sinanan, our Manager for Competitiveness and Export Development Agency at Caribbean Export. He will actually deliver remarks on behalf of our Chair of the Board, Senator Dr. Lynette Holder, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it with us this morning. So Damien, please.
Thank you very much, Joellen. I'm delivering these remarks on behalf of Dr. Holder, who unfortunately could not have been here. So she sent her remarks, and it's indeed an honor for me to deliver them on her behalf. So on behalf of Caribbean Export and as chair of the board, I am happy to see the development of this partnership between Caribbean Export and the International Trade Center. I would like to thank the ITC for demonstrating their commitment to private sector development in the Caribbean region by working with the agency to launch the T4SD Hubs project. We appreciate that identifying partners to work with is often a competitive and involved process, and we are pleased to have come to an agreement to go on this journey together. In addition, I would like to thank the staff at both Caribbean Export and ITC who have worked assiduously on reaching this point in our relationship and will continue the good work ensuring the T4SD projects is implemented in a manner that brings true value to the people of the region. Thanks to all of those in virtual attendance for participating in this launch activity. It's clear from the presentations and discussions today that in order to remain globally competitive, SMEs in the region will have to increase their rates of innovation as well as their ability to manage uncertainty, particularly now in what will hopefully very soon be the post-COVID environment. They will need to deepen their capacity to withstand external shocks, whether of an environmental or an economic nature, and ultimately become more resource efficient and responsive to sustainability drivers within international markets. However, Caribbean Export, and I'm sure the ITC, is keenly aware that the ability of our businesses to do these things is highly dependent on the quality of the enabling environment in which they are embedded, of which partnerships plays a key role. This fact underscores the importance of the kind of flexible and high-value partnerships such as the one being forged by Caribbean Export and ITC. These partnerships must take stock of the reality that the environment facing the private sector is very dynamic and requires a novel approaches to delivering on the promise of sustainable development. In this regard, Caribbean Export is of the view that our engagement with our developmental partners should not be limited to the implementation of any specific project, but rather must endeavor to maintain open dialogue and continuously be outward looking, constantly assessing the landscape, anticipating new developments, and taking proactive actions as partners. Indeed, the agency is confident that our relationship with ITC going forward is going to accomplish this and become a model for what development cooperation can be in the region and across the world. I would once again wish to thank Ms. Cook-Hamilton and her team for the work they have been doing and their commitment to working with Caribbean Export to deliver on this and other very important projects. And once again, I thank all in attendance for your participation in this launch event and wish you all a good and safe day. On behalf of Senator Dr. Leonard.
Thank you very much, Damie. Hopefully you've all managed to receive quite a bit of information today and learn more about this program. As I say, I encourage you to visit the website for further information and to keep up to date as this program progresses. We're right on time, I believe. So I wish to thank you all very much for your kind attention and wish you all a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful weekend coming up. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Very much. Bye-bye.